What should have been a simple delivery became a sudden crisis. When this worker released the latch, the dangerously unsecured load turned into a heavy projectile at the loading dock. A worker moved to open the truck's side gate. The bed held heavy, long metal pipes that were improperly stabilized. As the worker lowered the retaining panel, the immense weight of the unsecured cargo instantly shifted. The pipes rolled out with force, striking the worker and knocking him to the ground. He was caught completely off guard by the kinetic energy of the failing load. Never assume a load is secured until you have visually verified the straps and bracing. The moment of unlocking a gate is the riskiest point. Verify cargo integrity before release. It started as a routine check on the control panel, but in a split second, a failure deep within the circuit board turned a normal workplace into a high-energy arc flash zone. In the industrial facility, a technician was positioned directly in front of an electrical console. He was speaking into a microphone, likely communicating system status. Without warning, a massive surge of uncontrolled electrical energy erupted from the panel. The violent arc flash created a blinding light and extreme heat, causing the technician to instantly recoil. This sudden electrical failure highlights the hidden dangers present even in daily operations. Electrical equipment must always be respected as potentially energized. Always use proper arc flash (PPE) and maintain safe boundaries around control panels. Never compromise electrical safety protocols. Two workers tried to secure a load, but a simple throw of rope created an immediate hazard for a passing citizen. Beside a busy street, two men prepared to strap down a large panel. A worker threw the rope across the vehicle. The line swung wide into the traffic lane, snagging a motorcyclist. The rider was violently pulled off his bike. This reckless action disregarded public safety. Never compromise safety zones during roadside loading. All activity must be contained or traffic halted. Public safety must be the priority. A moment of convenience turned into a catastrophic equipment failure. This worker treated the truck's hydraulic liftgate as a combined personnel and freight elevator, placing a fatal burden on a machine designed only for static loads. The result was a sudden, violent collapse. At the busy warehouse dock, a worker needed to lower an exceptionally heavy pallet from the truck bed. Ignoring the clear load capacity sticker, he stepped directly onto the lifting platform. He then actively pulled the cargo, adding the force of the dynamic load to his own body weight. The combined stress was far too great. There was a sudden, wrenching sound as the hydraulic supports buckled instantly and completely. The apparatus gave way, crashing violently to the concrete below, dropping both the worker and the heavy freight in a severe and preventable accident. Using equipment beyond its design limits introduces unpredictable and immediate danger. Every operator must strictly adhere to the manufacturer's maximum weight rating, especially when dealing with dynamic forces. A liftgate's capacity is an absolute boundary, not a suggestion. Prioritize integrity over convenience. A moment of routine entry instantly transformed into a severe crush hazard. This worker was pinned between his own open truck door and an unexpected reversing vehicle. In the parking yard, a driver opened his cab door to climb inside. He stood momentarily in the tight space between the door and the frame. Without warning or communication, the large truck parked directly ahead began to slowly reverse. The vehicle's motion closed the gap, squeezing the worker and impacting the door with tremendous force. The driver was caught completely off guard in what should have been a safe zone. Never linger in the crush zone between an open door and a fixed structure. Before moving any vehicle, ensure all surrounding personnel are visually clear. Communication is mandatory for vehicle safety. This is a devastating example of how one critical safety violation can instantly cascade into a second, life-threatening disaster. Two massive errors occurred in quick succession, placing the worker in double jeopardy. In the crowded warehouse, a worker stood dangerously on the elevated forklift forks, attempting to stabilize an unsteady load, a severe violation of working at height protocol. The load immediately shifted, causing the worker to lose balance and crash heavily to the concrete floor below. The operator, panicked by the sudden injury of his colleague, reacted with instinct instead of training. He immediately abandoned the cab and rushed to the fallen worker's side, forgetting the single most vital step, engaging the parking brake. The driverless forklift, heavy with its load, began to silently roll forward, creating a second, lethal hazard that threatened to crush the already injured man. Never use forklift forks as a personnel platform. a proper safety cage is mandatory. Furthermore, an operating vehicle must never be abandoned without first securing the brakes and neutralizing the power source. Reaction must be governed by procedure, not panic. Procedure saves lives. Inside a heavy fabrication plant, a moment of inspection near a massive machine became a fight for survival. The power of industrial hydraulics turned against the worker without warning. A technician was working directly in front of a large, high-pressure machine, likely performing a quality check or minor adjustment. This placement put him squarely inside the machine's operational envelope, the crush zone. Critically, the lockout-fade-out protocol was not fully implemented, or safety sensors were somehow overridden. Without any audible or visual alarm, the immense hydraulic ram moved inward suddenly, applying crushing force against the worker and trapping him against the rigid frame. Coworkers immediately scrambled to emergency controls to stop the destructive cycle and reverse the immense pressure that had captured their colleague. Never enter the operating cycle of any hydraulic or pneumatic machinery. The LOTO procedure is the only guarantee that a machine is in a true zero-energy state. Respect the power of pressure, always. Furthermore, clear zone boundaries must be non-negotiable. A moment's distraction near a powerful conveyor led to an immediate crisis. The simple act of leaning in created a deadly entanglement hazard. In the production area, the worker was positioned near a machine with exposed, moving pinch points. As she worked or checked the output, her proximity became catastrophic. Loose clothing or long hair was instantly caught by the rotating component. She was violently yanked toward the mechanism, unable to break free from the machine's powerful pull. Coworkers immediately rushed to the emergency stop button to halt the dangerous rotation. Guards and barriers are lifelines. Never bypass them for quick access. Always secure loose articles of clothing, hair, or jewelry near moving parts. Respect the rotation. A fundamental failure in safety protocol turned routine maintenance into a severe electrical incident. Watch how uncontrolled current can devastate a worker. A worker was performing tasks near a live electrical circuit. He bypassed safety steps, likely assuming the power was isolated. His body made direct contact with the energized component. The uncontrolled current flowed through him, accompanied by a bright flash, instantly dropping the worker backward. Treat every circuit as energized until you personally verify the zero-energy state. Proper lockout-fade-out LOTO is the only safeguard. Isolation is non-negotiable. A fundamental violation of stacking protocol turned simple retrieval into a catastrophic collapse. The consequences of disrupting an unstable load were immediate. Heavy molds were improperly stacked high and unsecured. A worker recklessly pulled a block from the base of the unstable column. This single action shattered the stack's integrity. The top blocks instantly toppled, crashing onto a colleague standing nearby. This violent impact showed the lethal risk. Never remove items from the middle or bottom of a stack. Storage must follow proper geometry and be secured against collapse.